Welcome to the leading podcast for long-term weight management. Subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss an episode. You can connect with Jenny on all social media channels. You can also sign up to the newsletter to receive frequent content and tips for weight loss success.
Hey guys, welcome to the Power Over Food podcast. I am your host, Jenny McDonald, the Food Freedom Fairy, and I empower women to heal their relationship with food, but most importantly, with themselves. I'm a best-selling author of the book The Diet Industry Doesn't Want You to Read, and after spending 15 years in the diet industry, I decided that I couldn't see my clients repeat the cycle of yo-yo dieting, losing 3 or 4 stone with me, disappearing for a year and coming back and doing the same over and over again. I knew there was a better solution and I had to find it. And here I am, living the dream. So today's podcast is about the lies we tell ourselves. But before I dive in, I just want to remind you that if you are not yet in my Facebook community, please come along and join us. I do lots of live training in there for free. And the next one is on Tuesday, the 13th of February. It is half term in the UK that week, but it is at 7 o'clock in the evening. So hopefully you can come and join me live and listen to my ABC of food freedom. Anyway, today I'm going to, as I say, dive in with the lies we tell ourselves. And I feel like this might be 2 episodes because we tell ourselves a lot of lies when it comes to our relationship with food. So I'm going to share 5 today. We'll see how we go for time. Now, the first lie, this might surprise you actually. This one might shock you because I'm not going to start with a really obvious one. But the first lie is, I'll be happy when I'm thin. Okay? And the reason I know this is a lie is, first of all, it's a lie that I told myself very, very often when I was struggling with my relationship with food and when I was at my heaviest, which was at one point 18 stone. We seem to place everything on being a certain size when we are struggling with our body. So we imagine in our head this life of being a perfect size, being in that swimsuit, that dress for the wedding, the occasion, and we think everything will be brilliant. But the reality is, regardless of your size, life happens. We have challenges. We have children. We have partners. We have mess. We have work. We have elderly parents. We have all of these things going on in our life, regardless of what size we are. So just because you lose weight, it doesn't suddenly make your life amazing. So that is the first lie you tell yourself, or you may tell yourself. And what I want you to think about here is, for many who struggle with their relationship with food, they're struggling with emotional eating. And if you struggle with emotional eating, then the reasons that you are eating do not disappear. So if you are driven to food because you're lonely in the evenings, or if you're driven to food because you are caring for elderly parents, that isn't going to disappear because you are smaller. This is why I am all about working on the relationship with food over just putting a diet in place, losing weight, and thinking that that is the end of it. So that's the first lie. Let me know. I would love to hear if you hear that going around in your head. I'll be happy when I'm thin. And something that I really encourage you to do is work on being happy now. Because actually, when we're in a place of contentment and happiness, it is much easier to get a balance with food and to work on that relationship with food, because we are not fighting ourselves and striving for something that is never going to be achievable. The second lie is, I can't control my emotional eating. So first of all, I just want you to hear that. I can't control my emotional eating. The word can't always alerts me to a limiting belief or something that we tell ourselves, a story that we tell ourselves. because I would bet that there has been a time that you have been working on your relationship with food, or even you have just been sticking to a diet and you've been in the zone and you have stopped yourself emotionally eating. You might have been white knuckling it, as I say. You're holding on for dear life thinking, I cannot break my diet. I can't do it. But you've got through it. You controlled it. I'm not saying that's the way to lose weight, by the way, but I'm saying that at some point when you look back, there will be a moment where you did manage to not eat from an emotional pull to food. And saying I can't is something that you're telling yourself to almost get out of dealing with it. So rather than giving yourself that permission, oh, I can't do it, so what's the point? I can't control myself. Then how about thinking about how you can manage your emotional eating? And notice I took away the word control there in that sentence, because it's not about being in control. It's not about always being perfect. It is about managing your relationship with food, but most importantly, your relationship with yourself. And I always come back to this because the reason you are eating has very little to do with the food. It is about how you feel about yourself. So how can you change this lie? Well, I suggest you start becoming more aware of the times that you are driven to eat on emotion, and notice what those emotions are. If it's boredom, then what do you need to do about that? It's not just as simple as, oh, I'll start knitting and keep my hands busy, which I know is a strategy that everybody talks about, and it can work for some. But if you're bored, are you bored with life? Do you lack purpose? Do you need to do something else? Do you need a new purpose in your life? If you're eating under stress, then what is causing you stress? And how can you alleviate that stress, or how can you make that situation less stressful? And I know we can't always just change a situation, but we can certainly change our perception on how we look at things. So I invite you to get aware, get really deep about which emotions are driving you to eating and what you need to do to manage that. Okay, the third lie is, I need to be perfect on my diet. This one is so damaging because none of us are perfect. It doesn't matter what we think, what perception we have of other people. There is no such thing as a perfect person. It may look like that on Facebook, but it's not true. Aiming to be perfect in your diet is putting a huge amount of pressure on yourself. And what happens with that pressure is you set yourself unrealistic expectations. And then when you don't meet those expectations, you crash and burn. You tell yourself, you're rubbish. I knew I wouldn't stick to it. What's the point? I might as well just resign myself to the fact that I'm always going to struggle. I'm always going to be this weight, this size, whatever. So stop telling yourself you need to be perfect if that is you. And start exploring what it is to have a healthy relationship with food, how to balance your energy levels with food, rather than restricting and going all day without eating to save calories, or skipping a meal, or replacing a meal with a can of Diet Coke and crisps like I used to, thinking that I was being good because I hadn't had breakfast or lunch. Start having that nourishing, healthy relationship with food and with your body. Treat your body with respect. It's not about being perfect. It's about respecting your body and giving it the goodness and nourishment it needs. And if you need help with that, come along to the Facebook group. I share so many tips and strategies in there. There's a backlog of these podcasts to listen to. You will find so much information for free to really craft your relationship with food. And actually, if you need some accountability, then come and join me. I'm going to be announcing a membership program, which is super exciting, in 2 weeks' time. So come and join me on the membership. Anyway, back to it. Sorry, I'm digressing because I'm excited about that. Okay, this one's a good one. Number 4, I think I'm on. I'll start tomorrow. Oh, gosh. How many times have you told yourself that lie? Once Christmas is over, once my birthday's over, once we've done Easter, once we've been on holiday, It's almost like we get ourselves through the year by putting off and saying, I'll start tomorrow or I'll start after this event. And all this is doing is it's procrastinating and it's delaying self-care. It's delaying nourishing your body. It's delaying just dealing with it. It's like when you're at work and you've got a task that you don't want to do and you put it off all week, knowing that Friday is the deadline, but you really don't want to do it and you leave it till Friday. And I appreciate when you have been dieting for years, you don't want to deal with it because your track record is that you've never been successful, or if you have been successful, you've never been successful for very long in terms of you haven't lost all the weight you wanted to, or you didn't keep it off. So what you do is you tell yourself, well, this is going to be really, really, really hard, and therefore I don't want to deal with it. So if I tell myself I'm going to deal with it at a certain point in time, then that kind of makes me feel a little bit better because I've promised myself that I'm going to start on Monday or tomorrow or whenever. So what you're doing is you're giving yourself then permission to eat what you want because you've told yourself when you start, you're going to be good and you won't eat the chocolate, drink the wine, eat the crisps, whatever it is. What happens then when you tell yourself this lie is you give yourself permission to eat and you gain more weight and you continue to have this really unhealthy relationship with food and yourself. Because even though you give yourself permission, in the back of your head, you're still feeling naff about what you've eaten. And that could be guilt, it could be shame, or it could just be feeling really rubbish and sluggish because you know your body's getting a load of naff, unnourishing foods in there. Okay, and another lie that you might tell yourself is that you're alone in this journey. I am alone in this journey. Whilst you may listen to this podcast, you may already be in my community, what we can do when we're struggling with food is we start saying things like, it's all right for her. She's lost weight. It's all right for her. She's managing. She's in a happy relationship. She's whatever. And I'm talking about when you look at other people who have what you are striving to have. If you're coming from that place, that can make you feel really alone. And then you start to tell yourself that no one really, really understands. Even though they've been through that journey, it's not the same. They don't understand. I'm the only one that feels this way. And this is why I can't emphasize the importance of having support and having that community or people around you that understand. And I don't mean people around you who are going to tell you how much they've eaten and got away with and still lost weight, and how many sins or calories are in certain foods. This is not a healthy relationship with food. I used to think it was. And in my early podcast, I possibly even spoke about calories. And now I'm so against not obsessing over the numbers, because what I recognize is when you understand what foods to eat and how to just nourish your body, you no longer have sugar cravings. You no longer have the need to fill your boots with different types of exciting packaged foods. And what happens is you learn to respect your body and you learn to be at peace with yourself. And when you do that alongside managing your thoughts and your emotions and working on your relationship with food, you will realize that it is quite easy and that you are not alone, that this is exactly how the people that have achieved the success that you are looking for, this is exactly how they've done it. They've worked on themselves alongside having more knowledge and awareness with what they're eating. So I guess the answer to that is surround yourself with people that feel the same, that are going through the same journey or have come out the other side. And rather than look at them and think, oh, it's okay for them, look at them and think, let me ask them what they did. What worked for them? How can they really help me? And as I was talking, I realized that one of the things I didn't say when I said that we tell ourselves things are hard, I promise you, when you dive into food freedom, it's really not as hard as you think it's going to be. Yes, there is some inner work to do. Yes, there might be a little bit of change about the foods you're buying and prepping them and things, but it is really so much easier than you have told yourself it's going to be. And all of a sudden you find that you are releasing weight without counting calories, sins, points, without dieting, without obsessing and weighing constantly, daily. It just naturally happens. I honestly encourage you to really explore the goal of having a healthy relationship with food over weight loss. So that's it. That's the end of this podcast. That's 5 lies. I was going to say rules. 5 lies that we tell ourselves about our relationship with food. I think I can definitely do another episode. I think it's time to call it a day because I'm stumbling over my words now. So I'm wishing you a magical week. As I say, if you're not in the Facebook community, please come and join us. Please share this podcast. I am trying to reach thousands of ladies this year, thousands of new ladies this year that need to listen to this podcast and need to work on their relationship with food. So have a great week. Feel free to drop me a message. Let me know if you're enjoying the podcast, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care, guys.